The problem with modern dudes is that their main sex organ is the tongue. The favorite position is head between the thighs. I fail and now have 3 kids. So I think the lesson here is pretty straightforward. He's saying that most people are so interested in trying to please a woman, they've forgotten what sex is for. They've forgotten what your duty is as a man, which is to have progeny which respect you and are good for the world, and to raise them in an environment where they're going to end up being powerful soldiers of God. Licking Billy, there ain't much point to it. It'll make the woman happy, perhaps. I don't know. I've never done it. But his point is, he has achieved something far more important than make. And that was one of his many views on the world. He was so proud of who we were as his children. He couldn't shut up about how we were the best thing he ever did, and how important it is to have kids as a man and to eventually create a link to the future. So that was one of his first tweets. I thought I'd start with that one on a relatively lighter note. This is from a movie, but he sent it to me at random in an email late at night. Who chains us and who holds the key that can set us free? It's you. You have all the weapons you need. Now fight. What's interesting is this. We talk often about who controls the world, and people often say, Tate, who's in charge of the world? And we talk about the people behind governments and people who are controlling the media and the people who lied about me and the people who deleted all my social media so I couldn't defend myself and tried to pretend I'm a really bad person, and all these people who are in control. But truthfully, us as the people have a huge percentage of power. They're only as in control as we allow them to be. If we resist the slave mind and resist the programming, if we watch the things they tell us to watch and say no, it's very difficult for them to control things. Knowledge is power and independent think is power. And when they say who really controls, who has the key to set us free, it's you. It's absolutely and utterly us. It's always going to be you. You watching this stream, you have to sit and understand that you are enslaved by your own beliefs that they've fed you. You need to be able to throw them away to become something more. And if you're not prepared to do that, if you're prepared to only sit and listen to what the television has to say to you, nobody can help you, not even me. There's one of my dad's quotes. I've made a few of my dad's quotes already famous. I've made the unmatched perspicacity one famous. But here's another one of my father's that I made famous because I've said it a few times, and we're going to talk about it later on in this podcast. I allow manipulation to find out where my enemy wants me to go. Then I use my mind to break the trap and punish the perpetrators. That's so beautifully put. And my father, of course, I idolize him as a son should, but I truly want the world to understand that he was the best man on the planet. He was the top G. I am his first #1 son, and I am top G. So imagine the level at which he operated. A consummate professional through and through. What's amazing about that quote is as follows. If your enemy is attempting to manipulate you and you refuse it, they're trying to tell you a lie, and you refuse to listen, then you don't know what their end goal was. You don't know what they were trying to make you believe. Perhaps they can make you believe it another way. They're trying to convince you the sky is green. You don't listen. You're like, I don't want to hear it, and you walk away. You don't know what they were trying to do. So later on, when someone else who you trust tells you the sky is green, or you look out the window and they've put a tint on the window that makes the sky look green, or there's a news report that says the sky is green, and then you believe it, you didn't even have the warning in the first place to know that your enemy was trying to manipulate you into believing this. The correct course of action is exactly as my father said. I allow the manipulation to find out where my enemy wants me to go. What do you want me to believe? I will sit and watch the news. What do you want me to believe? You want me to believe there's a pandemic? You want me to believe I need a mask? You want me to believe the sky is green? You want me to believe whatever? I'll sit here. Okay, what do you want me to believe? Then I use my mind to break the trap and punish the perpetrators. Let them tell you their lies, but you have to be strong enough so that you don't believe them. They may be very persuasive. They may have evidence, right? They might have claims or studies. You need to be smarter than that. You need to understand, but you need to first let them try and manipulate you, or you don't know what their end goal is. It's only by knowing their end goal you can resist true manipulation, because if you just decline it outright, they're going to find another way to get to you. A man does not acquire a full skill set to be told, take care or be careful by amateurs. Raw action solves everything. Caution breeds fear. Now, this can be applied in so many different ways, but he's absolutely and utterly correct. You know, I even had this recently. People were saying, Tate, be careful, you're going to get banned. I did not become who I am. I did not become the kind of guy who is above and beyond governmental control, who is not scared of losing his bank accounts, who doesn't need social media to be relevant, who has a strong network all around the world, who can still manage to get his signal out to the matrix. I did not become a man with a full skill set to be told, be careful, by some fucking amateur. Of course you told me that I needed to preserve my social media accounts because you need them. I don't need them. Raw action solves everything and caution breeds fear. If I was still on YouTube and Instagram scared about being deleted, I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be telling you the things I'm telling you. The world is not going to get any better anytime soon. Bad things are going to continue to happen. And they're going to continue to try and control and manipulate you. And I'm going to continue to say this is how you escape the matrix. I'll continue trying to teach you how to make money because I want all of my fans to be as rich and strong and powerful as possible. I want Tate fans to be recognizable on the street. I want you to see one walking past and go, he must follow Andrew Tate. That guy's a fucking winner. I can't do that if I sit cautious and fearful of getting deleted. So when some amateur says, Andrew, you should calm down, you're going to get deleted. I didn't acquire a full skill set to listen to amateurs. I'm uninterested. I do whatever the fuck I need to do. That's the difference. I dedicate so much of my life to you guys. I don't think you guys understand that most of you in my position would just get in the Bugatti and fuck off and just hang around with chicks and just go on yachts. I dedicate so much of my life to you guys because I truly believe it's my purpose. What else am I supposed to do? If I truly understand that I'm Emery Tate's son and I'm top G and I'm the best person on the planet and I know how to escape the matrix, am I supposed to just run away into the sunset and just fuck? Just go fuck and just buy cars and just say, oh, fuck all them? Is that what's going to make me truly happy on my deathbed? Or do I think I can actually save some of you and tell the truth and be a force for good in the world? I'll tell you something now, man. There's more to life than money. I have a bunch of money and a bunch of, I can tell you there's more to life than both of those things. If all I gave a shit about was money, I would not be here on this fucking stream in the middle of the night. It's like food. If you're starving, it's all you think about. But when you have an endless banquet, it's like, whatever. The psychological effects of mind fuck are not yet understood. We learn nothing from the Nazi failure. Get into lockstep and lose your mind. Saying we don't truly yet understand what happens when people's minds are completely fucked up on every level. And that's the world we now live in. We're addicted to social media. We all have ADHD. We can't focus on anything. We're scrolling TikTok endlessly. We're in rooms with people we love, ignoring them, messaging people we don't even know or barely like, following girls on Instagram who are never going to fuck you, watching garbage. Your mind's fucked and you get into lockstep and you lose your mind. Lockstep is where you are believing things that are simply false. You are living inside the matrix. It's NPC world. Whatever you are told is true. They flood it to you with every single metric and medium. The people who have sold their souls to the matrix themselves, like Logan Paul, sit there with a piece of paper and read it out to you because all they care about is money. They're empty vessels. They don't have a higher purpose. They don't have a higher calling. They're not smart enough. They weren't raised the way I was raised. And they sit there and tell you to believe this garbage. You will lose your fucking mind. This is what I said at the beginning. Everyone is involved in this battle. You're either on our side, the side of sanity and the battle against the matrix, or you have lost your mind and you're going to battle against yourself and against your circumstances forever. My biggest detractors, my biggest haters, every single thing about their life is unpleasant. They look unpleasant. Their health is unpleasant. If they're ugly, unattractive, hateful people, they're not happy people. They're sad people. Nobody can possibly be happy in the positions they're in. It takes physical strength and it takes competence and it takes success to be a happy person. They have none of them things. They may have a YouTube channel, but they're still overweight and objectively unattractive. They have nothing about them which is good. You don't want to be them. Being on the side of the matrix means you're just going to be in endless battles against yourself. You must control your own mind. And by extension, you're going to end up on this side of the fence. Look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, who is leading me? Why do I act this way? If you believe the people on the telly, the leaders, remain a puppet. These are the kind of things my father was saying to me my entire life. This is not something like you guys may be hearing this now new. This was my entire life. Look in the mirror. I used to tell him things. I come home from school and say, hey, Dad, doesn't matter what it was. Hey, Dad, global warming. I remember saying about global warming. Let's go, global warming. What do you know about global warming? I said, oh, they said the Earth's going to heat up and the sea temperature is going to rise. He said, I want you to go over there and look in the mirror and ask yourself, who told you that? I went and I looked in the mirror. I was like, well, my teacher told me that. Do you really believe your teacher understands about the fucking oceans and the planet heating up? Who's your teacher? I told him the teacher's name. He's like, how old is she? I was like, I don't know, 24, 25. It's like some 25-year-old bitch is telling you about the fucking planet setting on fire. You believe that bitch? And I was sat there for a second, goes, well, I don't know. Do I believe her? I don't know. Do I believe her? You have to question your beliefs. You have to question the things you're told. Who is leading you and why do you act the way you act? Now, everybody is trying to manipulate you. This is what you must understand as a full-grown adult. Everybody is trying to manipulate you all the time, including me. But you have to understand, do you think I have your interests at heart? What am I trying to manipulate you into doing? Well, I want you to be stronger. I've said that. I said you need to go train. I want you to make money and dedicate yourself and not be lazy. And I want you to be happier. I told you that I want my fans to win. This is what I truly believe, and I'm going to try and help you do that. If you believe that my intentions are pure, then allow me to manipulate you by all means. Look on the other side. If it's not me, who's manipulating you? The other YouTubers? The news? The teachers? You trust those people? Choose who you trust. Everybody has an impact on you. Everybody is influencing you to some degree. But the people on the television, they are speaking to the lowest common denominator. So much of life is designed around the lowest common denominator. I'll give you an example. Speed limits. I state here now on this stream that I don't obey speed limits. I have extremely expensive cars. I have world level reactions. I'm a trained driver. I've done driving tracks in reverse, ice driving, all of it. I'm one of the best drivers on the face of the planet. Fucking Schumacher, whoever, I'll take you out. I'm that good. I drive as fast as I want. I've never crashed, ever. Never crashed a supercar, even though I'm doing 150, 200 miles per hour all over the city. The reason there's a speed limit isn't for people like me. People like me are highly trained with world level reactions, expert focus, don't take drugs, don't drink and drive. We just drive the car in an enjoyable way. It's designed for the biggest moron. A group can only move as fast as the slowest person. They have to set a speed limit going, idiots are going to be driving cars. Dumbos. What's the speed limit at which a Dumbo can drive a car? Well, that's 30 miles an hour because they're dumb. They can't make a limit based on my ultra intellect and world level reactions because most people don't have them. They have to set the lowest common denominator. That's how society works. Everything's for the lowest common denominator because a group can only move as fast as the slowest person. And over 50% of people, or around 50% of people by the law of average, are less intelligent than the average. There's half the people you meet are dumber than average. And average isn't even smart. So you have to keep in mind that all these rules are set for idiots. So the people on the television, they're not going to be speaking to the exceptional people. They can't say things that the exceptional person can resonate with and take and find useful. They can only say the things that the average dummy can use. Well, just be safe and put the mask on. And the dummy sits there because they're dummies. Go somewhere else. I'm trying to find the exceptional people of Earth. The things I say may apply to the exceptional. It doesn't apply to the average. I get attacked with that all the time. I have people saying, hey, Tate, you talk about how to get girls and how you can have all these girls, but you're a 6'4" kickboxing world champion millionaire. The average man can't do that. I never said he could. I said, don't be fucking average. I said, get out there and work your ass off. I said, train the gym, get rich, be successful, become a G, be a boss. I'm only telling you how to do it from the gangster perspective because that's all I fucking know. I don't know any other way. Hey, I work at McDonald's, I'm a brokey. I don't know how I don't know. I know how I do it. And that's what I'm saying, be like me. I'm only trying to teach the exceptionals. And if you're not yet an exceptional, I'm trying to teach you how to become an exceptional. I don't want to talk to the dummies. I don't want to teach lowest common denominator shit. That's all over the fucking news. That's what the Matrix is trying to do. Dumb your ass down. I'm doing the absolute and utter opposite. It appears the insanity of the ruling elite is exposed worldwide now. They will kill you. Keep your mouths shut. Behave as sheep. I've had serious, long conversations contemplating whether they're going to try and kill me. I would like to think they're not. All I'm trying to do is teach men to be strong. If they decide to kill me on a long enough time frame, they're going to be successful. But I can't. I don't want to live in fear. Because what did I say in the earlier tenet? If I become a coward, I will live in fear and it breeds inaction. I won't be sitting here telling the truth. I want the world to know that I'd absolutely never ever kill myself under any circumstances ever, no matter what they say. I did not kill myself, ever. But that's what they want. They want you to behave as a sheep. And the insanity of the ruling elites is exposed. My father said this in 2012, 10 years ago. Imagine now. I don't want to be seen as a threat to the elites to the point where they believe I have to die. I want to be seen as a positive force for the world. And I'm going to stick true to my mission. I'm going to trust in God because I don't see what else I can do. The average human in the postmodern world works to have leisure time, work to sit and relax. We must break the work, consume, die cycle. The 25th tenet of Tateism is to acquire wealth and abundance so that you can improve your life and for those you love. As much as being strong is important, as much as being a fantastic orator is important, as much as being smart is important, we unfortunately live in a world where money is super important. You need money. Without money, you are only going to be a slave to somebody else who has the money that you need to live. You have to become rich. You can't have an opinion if you're broke because you need to rely on your job. You can't resist enslavement if you're broke. You can't say no to the injection if you're broke. You have to comply. If you truly want to be able to think for yourself and talk for yourself, you need to acquire money. You need to become strong and to acquire money. These are your number one concerns as a man. You cannot be going through life as a fucking brokey any longer. This is beyond having a nice car. This isn't about a diamond watch and some hop. This is about your integrity, your ability to fucking speak as a man. You need money for that. You have to have money to do these things. Why do you think one of the only things I was selling and I'm teaching to the world is how to make money? I'm not doing the crypto pump a dump. I'm not selling some fucking energy drink. I'm not doing no shit besides saying, guys, if you're a fan of mine and you believe in me, I'll teach you how to make money. Because I understand that the richer the people who believe in me are, the richer my circle are, the more powerful we are. I understand that. Same reason I said I'm going to launch a supplement line. I want my people to be strong and rich. That's all I want you guys to be, strong and rich. Because if you're on my side, I need soldiers who have capability. I don't need a bunch of weak brokies. You're no good to me. If you understand with what I'm saying, you need to become exceptional. That means becoming strong and rich. You must break the work, consume, die cycle. They want to keep you working, consuming bullshit, to be distracted enough to not rebel until you fucking die. That's all they want from you. Taxes paid, working your ass off on the breadline, just enough to eat, not enough to ever escape. Consume bullshit, go to a Rihanna concert. Yay, Rihanna. Watch crap on fucking YouTube and get up and just sit there distracted until you fucking die. When the Roman Empire was losing wars, they put on extra circuses. That's what you do. You put on a circus. You distract the peasants until they fucking die. You must break it. You cannot resist the slave mind if you're still a slave financially. You have to find a way to make money. It is ultra important. Belief is the most powerful concept we have access to. More than love or hate. Body follows the mind, but there's only unwavering belief or there is doubt, no in between. He's absolutely right. You have to believe in yourself completely. The war room's certainly the move, but the war room you can be kicked out of because it's the only organization on the planet where you have metrics to which you must perform. When you join, there's work involved. There's people you must interact with. We have in-person meetings, etc. And what we don't allow people to do is buy a membership, not improve their lives or help their brothers, and just stay. You're going to improve your life, you're going to help your brothers, and your brothers are going to help you, or you're not going to exist in there for very long. But that's how we create a fantastic environment. If 5,000 people join and we kick out the bottom 2,000, and 5,000 more join and we kick out the bottom 2,000, and we keep repeating that, over time we're left with an elite group of men. So when you hear this, don't be afraid. Don't think, oh, they might kick me out. No, wrong. Then you're already joining like a loser with a loser attitude. You need to sit and think, I'll do whatever it takes to fucking win. I will help my brothers. I will sit there and I will read the things that are being told. I'll make sure I do make money on the Russian ruble when they start to win the war. I'm going to actually attend these meetings and meetups. I'm going to go see Tate. Yeah, I'm going to take this seriously. Then absolutely not, your life's going to massively improve and you'll never be kicked out. You shouldn't be worried about being kicked out. That's for the losers. You're not a loser. You're a winner. That's why you join the war room. When the final mind game is played and death awaits, you might wonder, if I did not mind, did it matter? Your moves were sand on a beach. Sand on a beach is obviously wiped out after a certain period of time. When the final mind game is played and death awaits, when you're old and you've lived your entire life, you might wonder, if I didn't mind, did it matter? If I didn't care about that war, did it matter? If I didn't care about these things, did any of it even matter to me? Did I see it with my own eyes? Could I have ignored it? Certain things, no, because they put massive restrictions on your life, but certain things, yes. That bitch I was really upset about, I'm not upset anymore. Why did it take me so long to stop caring? That time I was really upset and angry and I wanted to do that crazy shit and start a fight and risk my life, or did any of that even matter now? They often say if you have a problem and it won't still be a problem a year from now, then you haven't got a problem. Time's amazing at fixing things. You'll often learn that besides health problems, you don't have any problems at all. If it did not mind, did it matter? All of these people talk forgiveness. It is appropriate to get on your knees while begging. Men should never forget wrongs. Persevere. It's a shame how quickly the world has forgotten wrongs. The last 3 years have been crazy. And a lot of wrongs committed, people just forget and move on. We talk about forgiveness, but it's appropriate to get on your knees while begging. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. That's not sorry. You're not sorry. You're trying to change subject. Trying to cop out. They say, forgive and don't forget. I think this is my father's way of saying it. You should never forget wrongdoings. I don't believe that people do serious wrong to you on accident. I think when people do serious wrong to you, it's usually calculated. They perhaps don't care about the consequences or what you're going to do. All of the people who have lied about me in my cancellation didn't do it by accident. They just didn't give a shit. They thought, fuck him. Let me just lie about him. Dad's Black, the pedophile. Thought it was clever to lie about a completely innocent man while talking to 13-year-old girls. That was not an accident. I will never forget what he has done. Whether I forgive or not is another thing. He thinks that because people have stopped calling him a pedophile, they can go back to making these little videos that he is safe. And that it's all over. But time will teach him his lesson. It's beautiful how the world and the universe works. When you make powerful enemies, powerful things happen. I do not forget the wrongs that are committed against me. In fact, I do quite the opposite. I have a lot of time and a lot of money. I have a long list of the people who have wronged me. And in the end, God rewards those who are true to their hearts, like myself. Do not forget the wrongdoings, because they are done on purpose. Anyone who thinks they have children in my kids' league, tell me. I know we all truly love our kids. Still, I am certain that mine are perfect. Obviously, every father says the same thing. But look at his sons. Most famous brothers on the planet. Give the guy some credit. This is way before we were famous. He just looked at us and goes, yeah, they're going to become the most famous brothers on the planet. Of course, no problem. Done. My father was never wrong. And I will love to say the same thing about my sons one day. And I cannot wait till they do their stream in a few years talking about me. Perhaps we should arm all the non-white countries. Automatic weapons. Shooting brings peace. They reproduce too much anyway. Genocide. That is obviously a commentary on American foreign policy, which I don't want to talk about too much on this stream. Key point there is shooting brings peace. We're talking about peace in Ukraine by giving them more guns. It's the only thing that was going to work out for the world. But the people who are in charge of the world are psychopathic. They don't give a shit. The same reason I don't care about a pawn in a chess game. They don't care about you. The people in charge of the world care about you the same way that a farmer cares about its cattle. It wants you to give it milk. So it doesn't really want you to die. I mean, it wants milk, right? But they don't care about your sovereignty or your feelings or your thoughts. They just want you to quickly eat enough, give me the milk, stay over there in your cage. Oh, you're unhappy. Don't give a shit. Stay there in your cage. Oh, all right. You no more milk from you? Okay, die, please. Next, next, next. That's how they care about you. So when they're telling you things and teaching you things, is to keep you on the farm. Keep that in mind. As the problem reveals itself, I know that people realize that they are their own worst enemy. As such, they turn their hate outward. If this is not the perfect quote to make it clear why my haters dislike me. As the problem reveals itself, people realize that their own worst enemy. I am their problem because my mentality is telling them that they could have been anything they wanted to be. Everything I am are things I built myself. I became world champion kickboxer by myself. I became rich by myself. I became smart and brave by myself. I did all of this. Anybody could have been as fantastic as me if they worked as hard as I did and went through the same trauma and pain that I went through, but they were all cowards. So when I appear and they see me, it makes them feel inferior and upset and sad. And they turn their hate outwards when they realize that they're their own worst enemy. They have failed themselves, so they attack me. You must attack me because I have to be a bad person because I am better than them. So because I am better than them in every single possible human metric, their only answer is to then pretend that I am somehow bad. And that's why they lie. They turn their hate outwards. The people who hate me for the same reason a rabbit hates a fox. The fox is superior and can destroy them easily. So they feel instant hate. Not because I'm a bad person in any regard, but purely because I am their superior and they know it by every single human metric. Line up the women who defend me and the women who attack me. Who is more objectively successful and attractive? Line up the men who defend me, the men who attack me. I sit with Patrick Bet-David. I sit with winners. I sit with the most successful people on the planet. And we have amazing conversations. We understand each other. And there's fat pedophiles who don't like me. That only tells me my mission is good. That only tells me I'm living true to God. That the demons of earth who molest children are not interested in trying to be my friend. They say I'm bad. They don't like me. Well, if the bad guys don't like me, I'm a good guy. That just shows I know exactly what I'm doing. They turn their hate outward because they have massively failed. They see me as their worst enemy because I am a reflection on who they could have been. And they have failed themselves.
We need God more than ever. And you also need God to inspire bravery. If you don't believe in God, how can you be brave in the face of assassination? It's only God.
I also believe that God can be proud of you when you do your absolute best. And I don't think many people genuinely do their best in the world anymore. When I say do your best, people sit and go, oh yeah, okay. No, when's the last time you actually did your best? Like, I don't train to run marathons, but I know if I gave my best, I could run a marathon right now, first try. If I gave my best, life depending on it. When's the last time people have genuinely given their best to anything? There are people going through the world and going through life today that don't give their best or 100% effort to anything ever. Ever. They can't even remember the last time they tried. So when I'm sitting in a dungeon, I'm sitting in a Romanian jail cell, I understand that it is a chance that God has given me and my ancestors are watching for me to do my absolute best and to show to them that I am the man I say I am. You can't become the most famous man in the world for mental resilience and God not test your mental resilience. I think that would be a very amateur way to view the world, that you can now become one of the most famous men in the world who talks about mental discipline and mental resilience and God's not going to test it. I think God's going to come along and say, okay, you want to be Mr. Famous. All right, let's see what you have. So I believed it was a chance to show God and show my ancestors and show my father that I am the man I say I am.
Well, it says in the Quran, just because you believe, you think Allah will not test you. Just because you believe in me, you think you're not going to be tested.
I think being tested is a great thing for
That's
you.
how God shows love.
Yeah.
Because because God's love is a disciplinarian love. It's a masculine love. It's like a father. A father shows love through putting you on the bike, letting you fall over, letting you hurt your knee, picking you back up, putting you back on the bike. That's how a father shows love, and God is the same. We learn through pain and suffering, which is why God gives it to us, because God is here to teach us. God is like a father, and a father teaches you, I believe, through pain. If a dad wants to teach you how to ride a bike, he puts you on the bike, lets you fall off and get hurt, puts you back on the bike over and over and over until you can ride the bike. God does the same thing.
You don't get the lessons you want, you get the lessons you need.
Absolutely agree. So I believe that bad things happening to you are a fantastic thing. I believe you need to be strong enough to deal with them and then articulate them. Some people only learn the hard way, especially men. God's actually very nice, because I believe God gives us a whole bunch of chances to learn a lesson the easy way.
It's called life.
Of course, he'll give you, think of the harshest lesson. You don't even have to say what it is, but think of the harshest lesson you've had in the last few years. And think of how many times you had the easy way to learn that lesson before it got bad.
Well, yeah.
Think how many times you could have just woke up and go, nah. Yeah. But we don't, do we?
Nope.
We wake up like, we got away with it. It's fine. And then bam, you get hit. There's only two ways to learn lessons, hard and harder. If you're smart, you take it the hard way. Real idiots take it the hardest way.
Yeah.
But there's no easy way to learn lessons. So you're right. I agree with everything you say. And that's how God teaches anyway. That's how God is always going to teach, because God is a disciplinarian love. I think it says, someone said this to me, I think in school you learn things and then you're given a test, but with God you're given the test and then you learn things. And that's the way it works. The thing for me was actually, I guess, a scientific principle. It was Newton's law of equal and opposite force. If there is evil in the world, and I'd like to think we both agree there certainly is,
yes,
there has to be an equal and opposite force, which is good. And I would like to think that that is God. Even the idea of God as a notion, even just as a concept, if that idea of God resists evil, then God is real. If you have two islands, you have two people, let's say a ship crashes, and you have two people who swim to two different islands, and one island they're atheists, savages, and they rip you apart. And the other island, you get there and they believe in God and they believe they're not allowed to kill you. Even just their idea of God saved your life. So I think even just the concept of God in and of itself, if enough people believe and it makes them do good, then God must be true. And that's the equal and opposite force to the evil of the world. And this is how I view it. So I don't see how anybody with a conscience cannot believe in God anymore.
when I sat there and I became religious, because I realized there's so much evil in the world, God must exist. You can't equal and opposite force.
Light
That's
has
science.
darkness,
Light has a darkness.
yeah.
And I see so much pure evil. The devil must be real, which means God must be real.
It's interesting that this is almost proof for God in so many ways when you're going to wake up and realize that there is genuine evil in the world and there's genuine good in the world, and there are two sides and two camps. And I do believe that the good is on the side of truth, and I do believe that comes from God. And there's many different ways to God. I think there is one God and there's different religions, and I don't want to argue the differences between the religions, because I think we have a lot more in common than we have, especially in the fight against evil, than we have as differences.
When you start to analyze people who are atheistic and go, God's stupid, you don't need God. They're not even smart enough to look at the big picture and realize without God, there's nothing.
Yeah.
You have nothing but anarchy and chaos. And I tell you, when 10 armed men turn up at your house, putting a gun to your head, you'll wish God was there. You'll be praying then, Mr. Atheist, Mr. Tough Guy. Then you'll start talking about God. And it could have been prevented in the first place if society was preserved, if there weren't atheists like you talking godlessly. That's what these clowns don't even understand. Without God, there's nothing. It's all a joke.
I'm far more embarrassed about old videos I made that were anti-God. I feel genuinely bad about those, much worse than that. I'm doing the absolute opposite. Right. I'm trying to push children towards religion. I'm trying to push kids towards God.
And I feel like Christianity's lost a lot of its presence in recent times. And that breaks my heart. I'm a Muslim now, but that breaks my heart. Because people of the book are people of the book, and we need more God, not less God. And I don't care what God you worship, if you worship God and you're a good person. And it's a shame, really, that Christianity's reached a point where it's mocked so openly and so publicly in Christian nations. That breaks my heart. And I think the attraction of Islam, for me personally, and also for a lot of other people now, is there's a lot of people who are just tired of being mocked. And they want a religion which they respect and other people respect. And you can disagree with Islam all you want, and whether you're an atheist or you're a Christian, and you can disagree with it all you want. And I'm not an Islamic scholar to argue that point. However, I will argue the point that it is the most respected religion on the planet. Nobody openly mocks it without fear. If they do, they at least make sure they're very careful about hiding their face or hiding behind a police barricade. Whereas people will mock Christianity openly and think it's a joke. And I feel like it's time for the Christians to take power back by ensuring that their religion is respected. I mean, people often ask why I reverted to Islam, and I heard someone say something that you see life and you see other people as you see yourself. So if you're a thief, you think everyone's a thief. You're worried about everyone stealing from you because you would steal in their position. That's how you view the world.
It's how cheaters view.
That's how cheaters view the world. That's right. And then I was sitting thinking, well, maybe, and of course, this just came from my mind. I said, well, maybe you see a religion how you see yourself. Like, I see myself as somebody who is feared, nobody would want to mock. I see myself as somebody with strict standards and discipline. I see myself as somebody who stands up for what he believes in and doesn't care if he's assaulted and attacked for it. Maybe that's why it was so appealing to me. And then I'd sit and I'd study it and I'd read and I'd realize how close it actually is to Christianity. We believe in so many of the same things. And I don't want to get in trouble here because I am not an Islamic scholar in any way, but I've had even other people say to me, some Christians who I spoke to who started to read the Quran, they're like, it's just condensed. It's like stronger.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the appeal of it is to me. And I also like having hard yeses and nos. And I believe that if you have a religion where you just accept everything, then you believe in nothing. There has to be a line. In life, there has to be a line that you won't let someone cross. And with God, there should be the same. And my only concern with Christianity, and I argued this with my brother at length, is if God will really, truly forgive anything, if he'll truly forgive you doing the most heinous acts you can possibly think of, and you repeatedly do them, and you won't learn your lesson, and you'll do them over and over again, and even Christians themselves won't ostracize you, is that too far? Is that too much freedom?
But in general, if you look at most Christian countries in the West, it's insane. A man just got charged with a hate crime for removing the head of a devil statue that Satanists had put inside a church. And he took the head off it, and he is being charged with a hate crime. Him! In a Christian country, Christianity has lost all of its merits as a religion. If you do not have strong parameters of what is right and what is wrong, and if you're afraid to say them, go up to a Christian and say, is homosexuality allowed? Do you agree with it? And they're going to pussyfoot around the question. They're going to say, well, you people can make their own choices. God loves everyone. The Bible says no. Quran says no. You're homophobe. Quran says no. Done. I'm not going to be part of a religion or adhere to a religion that doesn't have strict beliefs, because then it's not a religion anymore. If you tolerate everything, you stand for nothing.
So there's only Islam left. Now, I'm not going to insult Christians. I believe there's one God, and I believe the different religions are perhaps different languages to say the same thing. You can say coffee cup in German, you can say coffee cup in English, but it's still a coffee cup. There are different ways to say the same things. But Islam is so much stricter, it's so much more respectable. You can feel it. So if you truly believe in God, I don't see how you could not want to be a Muslim. I don't see how you can feel any pride in being a Christian. And that's why I reverted. Not because I'd always believed in God, but I just found the language that made the most sense to me. And I don't see any other language that makes sense anymore. I feel like it's a very easy choice for anyone who truly believes in God. And if you don't believe in God, in the world we're currently in, then I don't know what's wrong with you, because God is the only one who can fix this mess. So you better start believing, because you're going to need him. We're going to need God to fix this mess, because we're going to need a global awakening of consciousness. We need people to realize they've been lied to from head to toe. We need paradigms to break. And when paradigms break, things often get chaotic and messy, and wars come before a new paradigm is installed.
Isn't that just the rise and fall of empires?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have to hope that new paradigm being installed is better than the old one. And what we need, once again, is for people to love each other and care about their community and care about their children and care about one another. And if that's not God, tell me what is. We need God more than ever. You can't replace God with anything else. You can't replace it with money. You can't replace it with government. You're going to need faith in God to win this war, because it's only faith in God that's going to make you say, no, I believe in X. I love my family. I love where I live. God wants me to tell the truth and stand up for what is right, despite the fact that I am persecuted for it. We need more God. Why are all the people in charge of the world trying to get rid of God if he's not their enemy? That's the only thing they fear. The only thing they fear is people waking up and saying, no, this is wrong. It is morally wrong. And for that reason, we refuse. They don't want that. No, they want to make everything subjective. It removes the subjectiveness. You know what's right, you know what's wrong. And for anyone who also doesn't believe in God, if these religions are man-made, why do they go against the wills of men? If we're going to make man-made religions, why don't the religions tell us to do all the things we want to do and run around and sin? No, so we need God. And I think that he is our last hope at this point. I think the world is very fundamentally broken. And the demons operate in the shadows, and truth is light, and God is truth. And I think the more you speak the truth, the closer you're going to become to God. And that's why I feel good inside if I sit here and tell the truth.
Well, God is the final barrier. The final barrier to the slave programming is always going to be God, because there's a firm right and there's a firm wrong. They're going to come along and convince us all that the sky is green. And it's unfortunate because slowly they're going to win. Right now, we laugh at the fact that a man can chop his dick off and become a girl. We laugh at that. But our great-grandchildren won't laugh at that idea. Unfortunately, slowly they're creeping in. And the only barrier to this insanity, the final protection, is God, the book that says yes and no. Simple. So when you remove God from society, you live in godless societies. Yeah, you have the moral degradation, but it doesn't just destroy the populace, it destroys the institutions of the populace. That's the worst thing about it. And now we're living in a society which is so brutally corrupt to the core. The best hope you have is to believe in God and find some degree of religious ideology amongst the everyday life. That's the best hope you have, is to find a society where people are afraid of God. And that's why they're trying to destroy us. As simple as that. Because the demons operate in the dark. Demons need lies. Demons can't do their job in the light. And the light is truth. God is light. God is truth. If you tell the truth, if we have a battlefield, a playing field of truth, they can't do their snakery and their lies. They need deception. They require deception. That's not a man, that's a woman. The sky is green. They need all this garbage so that they can keep you in your slave box. Only God is going to get to a point where it says, it doesn't matter how much you pay me, it doesn't matter what you make me believe, it doesn't matter what the AI machine does, it doesn't matter how you've psyoped me and indoctrinated me, it doesn't matter how long you've been trying to convince me this is true. I know that my holy book and the God I believe in says this is wrong, so I refuse to believe. Only God is the final barrier to the absolute slave mind insanity, which is why they fear God, which is why they don't want to teach children about religion. You talk about God and we talk about faith. To be a disciplined religious person, the word is discipline. It requires discipline. It takes discipline to read the Bible. It's not going to be screaming kids. It's not going to be flashing images. It's not going to be as entertaining as a stream with 30 naked girls. No, you're going to have to sit down, pay attention, read, focus, reflect, try and find the lesson in the parable, get confused, read it again, ask for help. You're gonna have to study. That takes discipline. Most of these children today are so messed up from TikTok, they can't even focus on one page of a book, any book, because all they do is scroll. As we're destroying the new generation and removing their ability to focus on anything, removing their ability to be disciplined, you're taking them from God.
I think that God should be feared. I believe that God should be feared. I fear God. It's one of the only things I fear. And I believe that also you see God to a degree, or you see religion, how you see yourself. And I see myself as a person of strong principles and strong morals. And I like to think of myself as the kind of person nobody really wants to cross, not because I'm a psycho, but because I'm a man of capability and I'm smart and I'm strong and nobody wants to make an enemy of me. So I feel like I find an affinity to a belief system which has very similar outlooks. And there's a whole bunch of other things I can say from the Quran and Islamic texts, etc. But to keep it very vague and very broad for people who are not Islamic, I felt God when I was in an Islamic country. If I went to an Islamic country,
That's the problem.
I
The
felt
West-
God.
West is
You don't
Christian.
feel any God. How is it a Christian country if Satanists are mocking Jesus on the streets?
This is why we need God more than ever. Because if you don't have God, you don't have a soul and you don't feel guilty. If I had started a war in Libya, I would look in the mirror now and say, why did all that death, all that destruction, a destabilized nation, slavery, all this I've done? Why did I do it? Votes, money? What did I do that for? I shouldn't have done that. I'd feel bad.
Yeah.
But they don't. That's remarkable to me. All of this is on purpose. None of this is an accident. And they all tie in together to be a sickness for society. And society is now currently very sick. And if you were to ask me, well, what's worse, the AIDS or the cancer or the gangrene? It's very difficult for me to sit here and choose one. I'm saying to you, we're in a mess. And we need a solution to all of them. And the solution to all of them is the same thing I said it was earlier, which is God. Because why did we build beautiful cathedrals? God.
As an honor.
Why did people get married and stay married? God was the solution to everything. That's why they're trying to remove it. They have to remove God so they can attack all of these different institutions with these insane ideologies. And these ideologies are weaponized virtue. So what do we have besides God? Only God can save us now, my friend. Better start praying. Because we ain't got anything else. There's nothing else to believe in. What else are you going to believe in? It's scary. If you believe in God, you're not going to worship your wife. You're going to respect your wife. You're going to do your very best to do good by her. But you worship God. You're not going to allow a woman to trounce all over you. You're like, no, sorry, we live godless. We live within certain boundaries within this house, and we're a religious household, and you're not going to do that. Otherwise, we're not going to be together anymore. This is how it works. We're a religious household.
Yep.
But everybody worships something.
Yeah.
By talking about being an atheist, you think you're just showing the world how smart you are and that nothing's above you, but it's absolutely not the opposite. You're worshiping fame. You're worshiping clicks, likes, money, some other person, some human. It's garbage. Am I going to give up? That's what they want more than anything. That's what all of this is about, to chop off the head of the general. They want to destroy my life to stop anybody else being brave. Remember that top G guy? He had it all going for him, didn't he? He had all that money, flying around the world, living on a yacht. Everything was fine for him. He spoke too much. Listen, you're doing well right now. It's not worth it. Look what happened to that guy. He's still in jail. That's what they want to do. I couldn't live with myself if I shut up. I couldn't look in the mirror if I am quiet. They'll kill the general at the front, even if the army wins. That's how it is. My future's set. It is what it is. I believe in God. I refuse to shut up. I've made my decisions. I'm the man I am. I've made my bed and I'm going to lie in it. So it is what it is. No, I deserve it because I'm so great, but I deserve it because I'm brave enough to help other people. They've hijacked the word love now, and they've confused the word love with tolerance and a complete lack of boundaries. And they're saying, if you're a loving person, you accept all this garbage. No, I disagree with that. You just said a very important thing. You said father's love. A father's love comes with tests and trials and tribulations. What does a dad even traditionally do for his son? Take him out there, push him in the pool, let him struggle a bit, get him out. Put him on the bike, let him fall over, help him get up. You have to go through the bad things to be rewarded and the bad things to learn. That's how a father typically loves. And a father also loves by saying no. No, you cannot do that. So you nailed it by how society needs a father's love. Completely true. And society has actually hijacked the word love and tried to convince you that you don't need the father's love. Perhaps you need this unconditional love, which is more like a mother's love, if you want to gender it, perhaps. So it's unconditional. You can act without honor, you can act without courage, you can act without discipline, and you'll be loved anyway just because you exist. I don't believe that for myself. I believe if I remove all of my morality, I will not just be loved by default, not by my family, not by God, not by society. I don't believe that. And the people who do believe that, who think I should be loved just for existing, regardless of how I act and what I think, those are some of the most evil people on the planet. I truly believe. And they're also some of the most unsuccessful and unspectacular. And they're the people who are out here genuinely trying to change society in a direction which has never been tested, which I believe is going to lead down to the depths of hell, truly. I think it's evil. So yeah, I agree with you. Father's love is important, but love in and of itself has boundaries. Love is strict. Love is hard.
Yes.
Love is a hard emotion.
Fierce.
Love is fierce. Love is not an emotion of, oh, do whatever you want. It's the opposite. Love is, no, you have to do this. I believe love is a very hard, very strong emotion. And if I think of how, let's say I have two women, one I love, one I don't love, and I enjoy both of their company, I'm harder on the one I love. I expect more from her in terms of how she acts. I expect more from her in terms of how she speaks to me. I expect more from her in how she presents herself to the world. The more I love her, the more I expect of her, the more parameters I want to put on her in regards to how she should behave, because I love her. Love is a hard emotion. So yeah, love wins, but not in the way that people think love. They've hijacked the word love and convinced people that love means, oh, I tolerate everything. Right. That's not love. Interesting. And what I will do, and I will take away from this conversation, is I definitely have moments of presence. I mean, I'm human. I do have like a couple minutes where I sit and just look around and go, life's not all that bad, of course. But I will perhaps try and dedicate a little bit more time. Maybe I can turn I'll see if I can allocate 3 minutes instead of 2 towards presence. And see how that makes me feel overall. It's interesting that you said when you're present, you feel love. I actually completely agree with that. I can't think of a time I've been present and felt anything other than gratefulness. Just to look around and go, you know what? Yeah. Everything's fine. Yeah. In fact, even in jail that happened. Even in jail, I had moments of presence, and I looked around and go, this is not nearly as bad as like the media is saying it is, and the women on the phone are crying, and everyone's panicking. You know what? I'm not in a trench. I'm probably not going to get blown up. If a fire started, could I get through that steel door? If anyone could, it's me. I'm not on a submarine in World War II. There's no depth charges. Yeah. I'm not in a car crash. Yeah. It's fine. Cup of tea. It's fine. I did have those moments, right? So when you come to a moment, when you come to a moment of presence, even in a terrible scenario, it often ends up love. Yeah. You're right. And I certainly have felt them, and I certainly could do it. My rationale would be, my argument would be, does that make me more powerful? You're arguing it does, and maybe perhaps I need to try it. Whereas I would typically, up until this conversation, I would say, I don't have time for that. I have things to do. Right. So that's where it all comes down to. And then it comes down to, like I said earlier, am I here as a human to enjoy my experience as a human and enjoy being in this vessel and have as much fun as possible and be as present as possible? Or am I here to make the biggest impact I can possibly make? And build a legacy. And of course, probably like most things in life, the answer is somewhere in between the two. It's probably some balance. Yeah. Perhaps I'm slightly out of balance, and that's why I am living the life I am. But I'm not unhappy with it. And if I was unhappy with it, it wouldn't change anything.
This is a spiritual war. And their goal is to damage and destroy your spirit, to destroy your masculine essence, because it is your innate masculine tendency to resist. So, but destroying you, turning you into nothing more but to the matriarchy, you will no longer resist your enslavement. You will be a eunuch, which is what they want. Eunuchs stand there and obey. And it is brotherhood that is going to power your spirit. That's why they threaten brotherhood at every step of the way. That's why they call it gay and say, you don't need brothers, and why do you need friends? Masculine brotherhood is how we fix these problems. It's designed to teach you how to be a good slave within the matrix. And like every other thing, every other war on the planet, a spiritual war unfortunately requires money. It's very difficult for you to resist enslavement if you are broke. It's very difficult for you to have an opinion if you need a paycheck. They try and keep us all poor so that we have to sit there being quiet, afraid of putting our true opinions out into the world. Because if we tell the truth, we will not be able to feed our family, which is why being able to make money online independently in a matrix-free environment outside of the matrix is so important to your participation in this culture war. I went to sleep and woke up with 150 different Instagram pages with the exact same post and same copy on the same day. If you want to talk about orchestration by the Matrix, there it is. And they attack you absolutely. I was banned from every single bank account, banned from Spotify, Discord, Airbnb. My Uber account was banned. I was banned from Instagram, Facebook. I was banned from YouTube. You name an app. My phone is full of apps that I can't log into anymore. I was banned from absolutely everything, and they hoped I'd go away. I did not go away. Instead, I said that I'm going to pave a way for people who are canceled to continue to fight against the tyranny which we live under. Then they hit me with a new Matrix attack, which is lawfare. That's what comes next. And some other people are currently experiencing that. Russell Brand, for example, if you tell too much truth, all of a sudden legal cases appear. And then you have to go through lawfare. And the process itself is a punishment because you become, 1, it takes your peace of mind. 2, it's extremely expensive. 3, you have to be careful what you say. 4, they restrict your movement. My case, I was put in a Romanian dungeon for 93 days. And it's all garbage. And they know it's garbage, and they lie by omission. I broke down on a previous show how they do it. They contact everybody you know, 2,000 people. They find one person with something bad to say. They ignore the 1,999 who said good things about you. They take that one person and hide their name, hide their story. They get an actress to say it out loud. They say you're a bad person. They lie by omission by leaving out the other side of the story. They try their very best to destroy your life. It's disingenuous. It's evil. And they're doing it to everybody, and nobody cares. Nobody seems to care. And they're doing it to protect women. Let me tell you something before we bring on our guest. The only people who have ever protected women are men. Men protect women. It's only ever been men since the dawn of human time who have protected women. If a woman is in a nightclub and she feels threatened, the first thing she does is say to the man, I have a boyfriend. She invents a man to protect her, an imaginary man. Only men can protect. Strong men of honor and principle protect. The idea that you don't need men and that's somehow going to make you safer is asinine. Because weak, cowardly men will sit there and do nothing while little girls are stabbed to death on a bus. I would have done something. Do you understand? Stab me. Fine. I can't live with myself watching a little girl die. I'm not a coward. But they try and instill cowardice in us because they're trying their very best to neuter the population of men. Because since the dawn of human time, when you take over a country, you destroy the military-aged males. That's what you would do to prevent an uprising. It's only men who are going to uprise. You destroy the military-aged males. And the modern world, they can't kill us all, so what do? They neuter us. It's done very purposefully with a myriad of weaponry. So what's interesting to me, and sorry to interrupt you, what's interesting to me is, I don't know this woman, but I can imagine the type of woman she is. And we're going to talk about how they basically hate men now, because I truly believe they hate men. They hate the idea of traditional masculinity, unless it suits them, which is what's so hypocritical about this entire situation. They want traditional masculinity when we have to run into a burning building, but otherwise we have to shut up and we're not allowed an opinion. But it sounds to me like you have basically said that a woman who hates men and a woman who has a nasty, unlikable attitude wouldn't be attractive, which I would agree with. And coupled to the fact that they call men incels all day long, which is basically saying that men are not attractive to females. They use that word indiscriminately and say, well, they're incels. They're saying that a man who's not attractive to women is a loser. As soon as you say a woman with an attitude which is nasty and entitled is unattractive, they're going to attack you. Don't you think that's hypocritical? Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing that's so interesting about this topic, right? Because the world is interconnected. It's a web. And it's amazing how quickly you can tie nearly everything back to gender roles and masculinity and marriage. But you just mentioned the population rates, which is a fantastic way to mention it. We have to import thousands and thousands of people from the third world with completely different cultures and values than our own because we're not having children. Well, why aren't we having children? Because men can't find a woman worth marrying. Why can't they find a woman worth marrying? Because she's sitting there saying, I hate men. I don't like them. I'm not going to obey them in any way. And there's a huge misconception that people misunderstand, especially when it comes to masculine and female dynamics. Authority and responsibility go hand in hand. And when a man truly loves a woman, he is responsible for her well-being, her physical well-being, her financial well-being, her mental well-being. And a woman who is well-balanced, who isn't destroyed, likes to have a man she can see as a rock. But to have a man who has responsibility for you and cares for you, you have to understand he has a degree of authority. If I'm responsible for your safety, I have to have the authority to decide which way we walk home, if we go out this late at night. Otherwise, how can I be responsible, right? We can tie it back to a ship. If I'm the captain of the ship and everybody obeys me and the ship goes down, then it's my fault. But if I'm the captain of the ship and nobody obeys me, then I'm not responsible for what happens on the ship. I must be given authority to have responsibility. But this whole new wave of feminism, they want zero accountability for anything. Everything is men's fault. They want us to be responsible for them still and deal with all their problems, run into the burning building, take care of them, be chivalrous, do all these things for them. At the same time, they see themselves as above us, which is completely counterintuitive. It's asinine and it's dangerous. And I will truthfully say here, and I tweeted this out the other day, and I want to make sure I get my words word for word. I'm going to say it here. They don't care how sad men are. They don't care if we kill ourselves. If you mention it, all they do is start to mention how women don't get paid enough or some other conflation garbage. How we feel means nothing to society until they need us. And when they need us, they expect us to stand up and do exactly what men have always traditionally done with none of the benefits because we have no respect for doing so. And it's this fourth wave feminism, as you're describing, which is making men sit around and go, what's the point? What's the point in even being a good man anymore? And it's very interesting. You made an amazing point there. And it's very interesting. So I've been all around the world. I've lived a very eclectic life. And I've noticed that in the lower income societies, gender roles are far more defined. So it's almost like the closer we are to the bare minimum of survival, the closer we are to our gender roles, because our gender roles make us more efficient. I'll give an example. 10 people are stranded on a desert island, 5 men, 5 women. We have 2 identical islands, both with 10 people. On one island, people naturally revert to their gender roles. The men start hunting and protecting, the women start building a home. On the other island, we have fourth wave feminists who decide they can do everything a man can do. The island where people stick to their gender roles is far more likely to survive than the other island. In terms of survival, this is what made us most competitive as a species. If you even look in the world today, the countries which are most competitive as a species still have clearly defined gender roles. It's not about men being better than women. It's about us being very different and us being good at different things. Women are better at certain things than men are, and vice versa. And by understanding that and playing to our strengths, that makes society function better as a whole. And I feel like the West has now been disintegrated so heavily, where we have women trying to be men and men trying to be women. And then you look at all the problems that come from that. You just mentioned the birth rate. I will also counter and talk about the crime rate, for example. All of that comes from this disillusion, this mistake where people think that the gender roles are completely interchangeable, and we haven't evolved to actually be that way. I don't think that's the way we're supposed to operate. I was talking to a feminist once, and I've had a very long career of arguing with these people on podcasts, and I was explaining that the West is effectively a matriarchy now. They say it's a patriarchy, which is a lie. There's not a single law that benefits men over women, but I can name a bunch which benefit women over men. There's no rights men have that women do not have. I think that if you look at the statistics, let me correct myself. I know that if you look at the statistics, men are doing statistically worse than women in every metric we can possibly measure. We're living in a matriarchy, and the West is crumbling in real time. And this feminist said to me, yeah, but it's about time we let the women be in charge. It's going to be better. And I said, well, I'll actually counter that and argue the following point. I think if you're looking at absolute competitiveness of a society, then you can look at history and the fact that every single successful civilization in since the dawn of human time was led by men. Women are fantastic at doing certain things, yes. For example, I would never leave my children at a daycare ran by men. No, I would leave my children at a daycare ran by women. I have women who I trust with certain roles I wouldn't trust men with. I'm not a misogynist. I just look at history and understand that the most successful civilizations since human time have always been run with a man in charge, because men have a protective instinct. We have a warrior instinct. Our biology, the fact that they're trying to dissolve that as well, but our biology determines that nearly every worldview that we have, because we're biologically capable of doing some things that women aren't. And she argued and said, well, there was matriarchal societies too. And I said, well, I hope there was, because if there was a society which is run by women, we can't name them, which means they were never successful enough to even have a history, because they were destroyed and decimated by patriarchies. We can't even name one that's been successful, which shows that we're trying a failed idea. It's been tried somewhere, I'm sure. I mean, the Aztecs and the Ming dynasty, they're pretty far away. They didn't share the idea of a masculine, of men being in charge of protecting a society. They didn't share the idea. It's just how they found the best way to operate. And I'm sure somewhere someone's tried a matriarchy, and I'm sure they were absolutely decimated. And I have a strong feeling that the West is being decimated right now in real time. And in 100 years from now, it's going to be unrecognizable. And that's because we're trying a matriarchal system.
I don't think anyone broke. Break? What does breaking even mean? Jail was, I'm the kind of guy who can handle any situation, and I've said this a million times, and I'm not trying to act tough, and I'm not trying to pretend that I can't be vulnerable at times, etc. But my point is, I've been in jail for longer periods of time in my life. I've had no money, no job, no employment, sleeping on a mattress on the floor in a room where I can barely pay the rent in an apartment for months on end, trying to think of a way to make money. Is that not jail? Is that not the same? With nothing to do and no goals and nothing to focus on? I've had very hard times in my life, so I'm not some spoiled rich boy who you're going to put in jail and I'm going to panic or say or confess to something I didn't do or try to rat out my brother for something he didn't do. I'm not that person. One, we haven't committed any crimes, but they did take me in a room at one point and say, well, you know, if you sign this paper, you know, you'll be released from jail, but your brother's the one, we think you're just following your brother's lead and he's the criminal and he's going to tell us the same about you. And I looked at him, I said, look, I'm sure this is like the standard police playbook, but genuinely don't even bother. Try something else, put me back. Put me back in the car, send me back to jail. You're wasting your time. And I told them they were wasting their time. So yeah, they kind of tried, but I think that's the standard operating procedure. No, that was the third time they put me in jail.
Oh, you remember which clip it is?
Yes, I remember which clip it is. But the frustration that Andrew was feeling, I mean, I feel frustrated too sometimes, was the fact that, okay, if you told the whole world I'm a criminal, then bring your evidence, find me guilty, and put me in jail. Stop arresting me for new things, trying to put me into indeterminate perma-jail before a trial, before a guilty verdict.
Fucking crazy,
I've never had a trial. And even to this day, it's funny because I said this to Piers Morgan over a year and a half ago. The decision to whether or not I will get a trial has not been made. I said that a year ago. It still has not been made. It was supposed to be made yesterday. They delayed this. So to the 19th. And then will they delay it further? I don't even know if there will be a trial. But I think Andrew's frustration came from the point of, okay, here I am, back in prison, back in front of a judge, explaining why I don't need to be in prison preventatively. Can I just have a fucking trial and put me in jail if I'm guilty of a crime? Can you stop just arresting me on new things? Now it's money laundering, then it's tax evasion. They could kick in the door tomorrow and say I did something else, and they need to investigate, so I need to go back to jail. And they've done this now 4 times to us, and there's still no trial. I've never even once, at this point now, been able to show the evidence that exonerates me to a judge. The confession of my false accuser where she bragged about it. I've not even got to the point where I've said, look, Your Honor, here. We're not there yet. We're trying to determine whether or not the evidence is legally found, and the process is extremely slow. But yeah, it can be very frustrating at times, and Andrew was very frustrated in that clip. I think that my general standpoint is the same as Andrew's, even though we act in a very different way. My standpoint is this: I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to do what I want. Andrew's always been more vocal. It's why he was the one who got famous and went viral, and I was kind of in the shadows. I will always be in the same position where I will do what I want, I will say what I want, I will live how I want, and if some corrupt prosecutor somehow manages to put me in prison, good luck to him. So it's not that Andrew's more vocal and I'm more quiet. I think that's always been the dynamic. But I haven't once for a second considered, ooh, I shouldn't say that, I shouldn't talk about that. And last time they put me back, I went into jail, and the first thing I did was I started laughing. They put me in a room with Andrew this time. I was only there for 24 hours. I started laughing, and Andrew said, what's so funny? I said, well, I keep screaming on the internet, fucking take me to jail, and here we are back in jail. And I found it incredibly amusing. And then we started making all our old jail jokes, you know. Oh, I wonder what's on TV on this channel, a bunch of Romanian
channel.
Yeah, Romanian channel. We start making all of the old jail jokes, and yeah, it was a good. No, there's no real plan because I'm a singularly focused person. I'm going to win this case, and I'm going to expose this corruption. That's all I've thought about for years. And people say, well, where will you move next? Where will you go? Do you want to take a vacation? Do you want to do X, Y, and Z? No. I'm focused on this, and we'll see what happens at the end of it. If it's a complete setup, if corruption is deep-rooted in Romania all the way to the core, where people will say to judges, look, just find them guilty because it's going to be a national scandal if you don't. If corruption is that bad, I'm also ready to go to prison. But at the same time, if you're going to do that, you have to show people the evidence at the end. If you're going to say, oh, he's guilty and put him in prison, my case is so big. That's very interesting. What was the evidence that got him convicted? And there is nothing concrete that anyone should ever go to jail for. So the spotlight's on him one way or another. I think it's a lose-lose situation for this country, sadly, because I like Romania. My kids are half Romanian. You know, I've made my home here. I know their language even.
I speak Romanian.
I speak enough. So it's very sad to me that for whatever reason, one or two bad actors in Romania, which is what it is. I know their names. I know exactly who did this. One or two morons who were too hungry for power, promotion, recognition, or whatever, decided to do this to me because I think it's lose-lose for the country. There's no good outcome for Romania. Who with money and influence is going to come and set up a life in Romania now, ever again, after what they did to me? The world will ask why I'm in prison. And I mean, I've read the case file 10 times. It's really, really very stupid. Stupid is the word. It's a joke. It's not evidence of any crime ever being committed. It's a few racy text messages I sent to my ex-girlfriend calling her my slave or something like that. Like, it's, by the way, she's not someone who ever made a complaint against me, and she stands up for me and is in my defense. So the case file is complete nonsense, and I think that the people in charge know it's complete nonsense. I feel like decisions are being made behind closed doors. Brittany Griner was a criminal. She took weed and went to Russia. She possessed drugs in Russia and went to prison. She's an actual criminal. A$AP Rocky is a rapper. I believe he got in trouble in Sweden. I think he was attacked. I think it may have been self-defense, but he did in fact hit somebody, and he was put in prison. Now, the American government doesn't like its citizens being put in prison by foreign nations. So Brittany Griner is a criminal, and America pulled her out of Russia. A$AP Rocky did hit somebody. I think in self-defense. I'll stick up for him here. However, he was in Swedish prison. America pulled him out. I was left to rot in prison. And the reason I was left to rot...
No one reached out to you from the embassy?
I mean, a guy from the embassy arrived, but he made it very clear that there was nobody looking to help me. So when I was left to rot in prison, pre-trial, by the way, never found guilty of anything, I quickly woke up to the fact that, okay, the Americans have obviously okayed this. I'm not saying they started it, but I know for a fact they okayed it. Because since the year 2000, if you count me being arrested now, the American citizens who've been arrested by a foreign power without trial, the record is myself and Andrew. We're now on our 700th day of arrest at this point. I knew full well that the American government was not willing to help me. And people ask me the question now, well, the government's changing. Is the American government going to help you now? And my answer is the same as I've said to all of my friends in my private life. I don't want help. I'm on the cusp of victory, and I'm going to win this. But in the way that Brittany Griner was a criminal, and they took her out even though she was a criminal, I feel like, as an American citizen, I'm not asking to be taken away from my responsibilities. I'm not asking for my sins to be washed away by the government and to be rescued when I've done something wrong. What Washington should do is find one Romanian speaker from the Romanian embassy in Washington, D.C., who understands basic Romanian law, and send them here. Speak to the prosecutor, speak to the lawyers involved, and look at the case file. Was this done legally? Was it done because they thought there was evidence of a crime? Have my rights been abused? Have they treated me differently because I'm American? Is there any evidence to justify the substantial arrest period? And once they do, they'll find out that this is all nonsense, and it would go away. But I don't want rescuing from the government, is my point. I don't want help. Not really. I heard rumors of conversations going on behind the scenes when I first went to jail. And what I've learned is this. So 2 prosecutors did this to me. One of them encouraged a junior prosecutor to do this and said it was going to make his massive career. And when it started turning bad, this big prosecutor